Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're tackling a really fascinating paradox. Look around us. We live in a world packed with incredibly sophisticated, fast-moving global problems. Economic crises, social turbulence, international conflicts. It all feels overwhelmingly modern, doesn't it? But what if the absolute guaranteed way to solve these highly complex modern-day crises was actually rooted in something incredibly ancient? Think about it. What if the solution isn't some brand new technological breakthrough, but actually just a return to the simplest, oldest guidelines known to humanity?
Let's just dive right in and ask a super fair question. Can rules designed for an era of tiny, collective human groups, armed with slingshots, actually apply to our massive, multi-ethnic, tech-driven global village? I mean, it's pretty easy to just dismiss these ancient golden rules as completely irrelevant today, right? We've got these highly developed social systems and technology that our ancestors couldn't have even imagined. But as we're going to see as we unpack our source material today, that quick dismissal, that might actually be the exact reason we're in such a constant state of crisis.
Now, there is a stark reality to our evolution. Yes, absolutely, our social structures and our tech have drastically evolved. An ancient person driven by malice might have used a slingshot to harm, one person at a time, whereas a modern person, driven by that exact same malice, can use a drone to strike thousands. The methods have scaled up terrifyingly. But look at the core driver here. The human motivations, they haven't changed one bit. The greed, the hate, the envy, the pride, that same avarice that plagued ancient societies is literally the exact same stuff driving our modern conflicts. The tools changed, for sure, but the human heart did not. And it was exactly for the control of these unwholesome impulses that those golden rules were introduced in the first place. Historically, there's this incredibly clear dividing line between societies that found peace and those that just found ruin. Our source notes that in cultures where leaders and the community considered their golden rules to be truly sacred, they actually experienced significantly less strife. They were more stoic, emotionally balanced, and really grounded in the rhythms of nature. They focused on harmony. But when society shifted, when leaders stopped viewing these rules as sacred and just started paying lip service to them, well, everything fell apart. Instead of living by the spirit of the rule, people started hunting for loopholes. They focused on interpreting the words strictly to their own advantage. And this search for loopholes allowed them to justify oppressive class structures, take from the weak, and launch these endless, intense wars against their neighbors, all while technically pretending to follow the rules. Wild, right? And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates exactly where we've ended up today. Because we no longer hold those simple rules of conduct as sacred, we require literal volumes upon volumes of legal codes just to manage basic human behavior. On one hand, you have the modern approach. Take the United States Code, Title 18, which has thousands of specific statutes scattered across thousands of pages just to define and prosecute theft, from petty theft all the way to super specialized financial crimes. It requires a legal expert just to comb through all the nuances. Why? Because people are constantly trying to interpret the circumstances to their own advantage. On the other hand, you have the ancient approach. Thou shalt not steal. That simple, straightforward phrase speaks directly to the decency of the individual to just resist the temptation to take what isn't theirs by force or by guile, no matter the scale. We basically traded a simple spiritual self-restraint for thousands of pages of technicalities.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. We are not just talking about one specific dogma or a single religion's rulebook here. The source material highlights that the essence of these golden rules is actually a universal human standard. These identical tenets of reciprocity and harmlessness, they sprung up entirely independently across the entire globe, pointing to this really fundamental truth about how human beings are naturally meant to coexist. Let's actually take a quick look at just how wide-reaching this whole concept really is.
Way back in China, in the 5th century BCE, when Confucius was asked for a single, overarching rule for life, he perfectly and simply captured the foundational essence of reciprocity. He said, "Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire."
Then, over in India, within Hinduism, the ancient epic the Mahabharata states, "This is the sum of duty. Do not unto others which would cause you pain if done to you." Notice that shared global focus there? It's all about the prevention of causing pain to another person.
And in ancient Greece, the philosophers were frequently invoking this exact same reciprocity. Thales of Miletus advised, avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. So we're seeing this massive geographical spread of literally the exact same concept.
Moving to the Buddhist tradition, a core tenet from the Udana reads, "Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful." When we place all of these side by side, the alignment is it's incredibly powerful. It absolutely proves the universality of this rule. And finally, we have this absolutely incredible African proverb. When you cast a stone in a marketplace, you never know who would be hit. It could be your mother. This perfectly demonstrates how deeply ingrained the concept of unseen consequences is across all human cultures. Literally every corner of the earth recognizes that hurting your neighbor ultimately destroys the fabric of your own life.
But today, for someone genuinely wanting to retrace their steps and actually find this harmony, it's tough. Society has spent centuries watering these rules down for personal advantage. The true, heavy essence of these laws is now completely scattered. It's hidden in dogma, in distorted lifestyle brands, and in super shallow pop psychology. So to truly grasp the real essence of these rules, we need a profound reinterpretation. And our source material invites us to look at an explanation by a writer named Abraham. He takes the 10 Commandments and just totally strips away all those superficial modern interpretations to reveal their true original depth.
What is really, truly fascinating here is how Abraham completely shifts our perspective on what is arguably the most famous rule of all, thou shalt not kill. Modern humans, we love to beat our chests and say, well, I've never murdered anyone, so I'm perfectly innocent here. But Abraham points out that the commandment doesn't just say thou shalt kill no gross material earth life. It says very broadly, thou shalt not kill. And to kill simply means to deaden. If you stifle a noble intuitive perception, or if you crush an inherent gift in someone else, you are deadening something that bears real life. You are, in essence, killing it.
I mean, just think about how often this happens in our daily lives. The text gives this hauntingly common example. Imagine a father driven by petty ambition who insists at all costs that his son must go to a prestigious college. But this son possesses entirely different natural gifts where college would be completely useless to him. The son, wanting to be obedient, exerts himself at the expense of his own health to comply with his father's will. And because this path is entirely against the boy's nature, his healthy main strength is just broken. It's wantonly wasted on things that are totally alien to him. Through his ambition, that father has successfully deadened a gift that was meant to be developed on earth. The father has actually committed a severe trespass against the commandment, thou shalt not kill, depriving not just the boy of his soul's happiness, but perhaps depriving mankind of an invention or a benefit that boy was meant to bring into the world.
When we realize that killing actually means deadening the life, the potential, or the spirit in someone else, we suddenly start seeing unseen violations everywhere. It's forcing a child's career path just for earthly prestige. It's parents using petty earthly calculations to dictate their child's marriage, ruthlessly stifling the child's most noble intuitive perceptions, all for the sake of money or status. But hey, it goes both ways, right? A child can also transgress this rule by stubbornly refusing to develop their own gifts, thereby stifling the justified hopes of their parents. And it extends way beyond family. When you deceive a true friendship, or you betray the confidence someone has placed in you, you are injuring and deadening something within them that bears real life. You are violating the command not to kill.
And this brings us to a really uncomfortable truth about modern society: the total myth of the unintentional hurt. We are constantly weaving these webs of actions that cause social and personal crises, and then we look outside ourselves for the culprit, claiming, oh, I hurt them unintentionally. But the source text is incredibly clear on this point. Anything we do to another person which we know will cause them pain is an intentionally committed wrong. Even if you think they can handle it, or you think they're quote-unquote tough enough to endure it, your ability to rationalize it doesn't change the fact that you knowingly inflicted pain. You acted out of alignment with the basic, fundamental principles of life.
So, that brings us to a really crucial question. It's time to turn the lens away from society's technical loopholes and look directly into our own daily lives. If the way out of our modern crises is a return to an ancient sacred standard, we have to ask ourselves, what are you deadening in the people around you? Are you stifling the potential of your kids, your friends, your colleagues through your own selfishness or ambition? Are you truly self-policing your motivations, or are you just hiding behind the fact that you technically haven't broken a written law today? These ancient rules aren't archaic restrictions. As the text says, they are mankind's best friends, designed to protect us faithfully from evil and suffering. The tools of our age may have drastically changed, but the pathway to true freedom, that remains exactly the same. Think deeply about what you might be deadening today and imagine the absolutely unimagined paths that might open up if you just stopped. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.